In this video, I'm going to show you how you can foil your own handwriting or calligraphy. As it's nearly Mother's Day in the UK, I thought we could make this super cute Mother's Day card together. As you can see at the top, I've created a monoline lettering style in foil, which looks so pretty. And then underneath is this beautiful bouquet, which is actually super easy to make. You don't need to be a pro at drawing flowers. Let's dive into the tutorial so I can show you exactly how I made this and you can create one yourself. So to create this beautiful card, all you need is a few different brush pens. I really recommend having a couple of different sizes because that means you can create different size flowers. If you like the two-tone effect I've created on this greeting card, then having a couple of different shades of each colour can help create that. For this particular tutorial, I'm using the Royal Talens Ecoline brush pens. For the purpley flowers, I'm going to be using number 579 and then 548. For the warmer tone flowers, I'm using 233 and 411. And then for the smaller flowers, I'm using a Pentel brush sign pen. The one I have here is in pale blue. So those are the tools you need to create the flowers, but what about this beautiful gold foil effect? Now you don't need any fancy equipment. If you've been around for a while, you'll know that I absolutely love toner reactive foil. It is so much fun to use and there's so many different things you can do with it. However, you need a lot of really specific equipment for it. So you need a laser printer, a foil machine, and even a computer to create digital files. Plus, there's a lot of trial and error to it, so it can be such a fiddly pain. So for this video, I wanted to come up with a way that you could add foil to your greeting cards much more easily without lots of complex equipment. So all you'll need for this video is a glue pen. I've got a really cute one actually from Amazon. They came in a pack and this one has some adorable little characters on it. And the glue in it is pink so I can easily see what I'm writing. As well as a glue pen, you will need some foil. So I'm using the foil quill foil from We Are Memory Keepers. This happens to be a hot stamping foil, but I found that it works really well for this technique too. And finally, you need some card. I really recommend a super smooth card for this. I'm using Winsor & Newton Bristol board, which I've trimmed down to A5 and I'll be folding into A6 during the tutorial. So that's everything you need to create this card. If you don't have lots of different brush pens, you could just stick to one-tone flowers, or they could all be similar sizes. So you don't need to rush out and go buy lots of different pens for this. However, I would really recommend getting a glue pen because that is how we're going to add the foil to the card. I'll leave links in the description below for everything that I'm using in this video. If you are interested in toner reactive foil and creating digital foil prints, then I do have a whole tutorial on how to use toner reactive foil. So I'll leave a clickable I button if that's something that you're wanting to watch. To get started, we need to fold our A5 Bristol board in half. For this, I'm using my Crafter's Companion Top Score multi-board. This makes it so much easier to fold a variety of different size card in half. All I need to do is line up the short edge to the top of this board, and then I can see here it says half fold A5. So I know that I just need to score along here. Fold it in half. And then use the edge of the purple tool just to flatten down that fold or that crease. So now we've got our greeting card ready, it's time to start creating the design. We'll start off by creating these purple two-tone flowers, and they are so easy to create. So for this, I'm grabbing my two purple Royal Talens Ecoline brush pens. And to get that two-tone effect, I'm just simply going to colour in the lighter nib with the darker nib. Now you don't necessarily want to cover the entire nib because then you can get a little bit of a gradient on the edge. So now we've coloured in the nib of that pen. All we're going to do to create these petals is slowly put the point down and then press down with the nib. So I'll just do that again. That was our first petal. Just press down. So when you go round the petal, it's easier to twist the paper rather than awkwardly twisting your pen. And you can see that we're getting lighter and darker purple depending on how I press this brush tip down. So that's our first two-tone purple flower. It's so easy to do. These are definitely easier to create with larger nib brush pens, especially if you want to do them at a large size like this as well. So anything like the Royal Talent Ecoline brush pen or a Tombow ABT dual brush pen will be really good for this. You can change up the number of petals depending on what works. You can see for a lot of these I have done 6 petals, but this one I've done 5. There is no right or wrong for this. It's all about just having a little play and a little experiment. So you can see I'm always putting the tip of the brush into the middle of where the flower is being drawn, and then the petals are being created from where I'm applying that pressure with the brush pen. I'm starting off with these flowers first just because they do take up quite a lot of space creating them, and I don't want to have any flowers overlapping too much. The smaller blue flowers are great to add in at the end just because they're good for filling in some space. So I'm just going to speed this up and then I'll talk you through the next flower. So I've added in a few different of those purple flowers and I've experimented a little bit with how many petals were on each one. I do feel like the one at the bottom probably went for too many petals, but there is no right or wrong here. It's all just about having fun and creating something that looks super cute by the end of it. Okay, to create these more orangey flowers, we're again going to colour in the nib of the lighter pen with the darker one. So in this case, that is the orange onto the yellow. And again, I'm not colouring all the way around because I would like some of that yellow to show through. And then for these flowers, we're going to use a similar technique where we're applying pressure to the pen, but how we angle it will be slightly different. So I'm just going to press down once. So we want to add another one next to it. So you can see by having the same technique but slightly changed in position, you can create different types of flowers. So I'm just going to add in a couple more flowers just to fill in the space a little bit, and then we'll move on to the small blue flowers. So there are 2 different flowers that are so easy to create. All you need is a flexible brush pen. We're now going to go in with our smaller Pentel brush sign pen and just fill in empty space around those flowers with smaller versions of the purple flowers. So we're going to be using the same technique of just adding a little bit of pressure, but as the nib's quite small, the flowers are a lot smaller and more delicate. These smaller flowers add a great balance to the whole bouquet and can fill in any awkward gaps some of the larger flowers may have left. You could of course do these as 2-tone flowers again. However, because the nib is quite small, it may not have the same effect as the larger flowers. You can add in some extra colours too, and actually I might do that. I might get some pinks into there because the flowers on this one are feeling a lot more purple compared to the flowers, and I feel like it needs some softer, lighter pink. Once you've created all of your flowers for your bouquet, it's now time to start adding the detail for the foiling. So I've actually got a slightly different design here to show you the gluing method. I've already added glue to the flowers that you've just seen me create. However, due to my big head, the video ended up being really blurry, and this is the most important part of the video, so I wanted to make sure that you could see it clearly. So I'm just going to show you using this new design, which I've created so quickly. Honestly, this probably took me about a minute to create. So if you're looking to create multiple versions of this card, then it's super easy to do. You want to ensure that the ink where the flowers are is dry before you add the glue. So we'll start off with the lettering first. For this, I'm doing a monoline style. So this is using the same principles of calligraphy, so individual strokes to create beautiful letters. However, I'm not adding those thick downstrokes in. This means that the glue will dry a little bit quicker compared to if you add in thicker strokes, and the glue drying is so important for this method. You can see I'm really taking my time with this lettering. You could also make it feel really personal and use your own handwriting or even a kid's handwriting as well. As long as you go nice and slow to ensure that there's enough glue laid down on the paper for each stroke, then you should be fine. Okay, so now we've added in the lettering, it's time to add in the floral details. So on the smaller ones, I'm just going to add in a single dot. And on the larger purple ones, I'm going to add in a few dots. It doesn't matter if they blend in to make one circle. And then on the warmer toned ones, I'm just going to add in 3 little strokes coming from the bottom. Now the details of the flowers have been added in, it's time to draw in the stems. So we're just going to bring all the stems down to the center here. And you want to make sure that there's a stem for each of the bigger flowers. So we're starting with those first, and think about how the flowers are angling out from this bottom center part and how the stems will be drawn. When I'm coming to a point where there's a flower in the way, I will skip over that, just so it's not going straight through the flower. Again, you want to go relatively slowly here just to ensure that the glue is laying down properly. And I'm just going to extend the stems out a little bit at the bottom. Once you've added in all the stems for the larger flowers, you can start adding in stems for the smaller ones. These don't necessarily need to go all the way to the bottom, but it's just more to make them feel connected to the whole bouquet. Once you've drawn in the bouquet, you can add in a cute little bow. You're just doing 2 loops like that, and then ribbon swoops after. Now, once you've drawn in all the glue detail, it's really important to let this dry. If you apply the foil now while it's still wet, then all it's going to do is smear the glue and the foil will not stick. You want to leave it for a good couple of hours until the glue is dry but still tacky. For this card, I actually left it for over 24 hours, but you definitely don't need to leave it as long. The one I did earlier, I probably did it about an hour ago, and I can see that some parts of the glue is still wet, especially around this L. So I'm just going to leave it for a little bit longer. We're going to come back to it in a bit, and then we are going to add in our gold foil. Okay, so it's a few hours later and it's time to add foil to the card. I am a tiny bit concerned that this part on the L isn't 100% dry. As you already know, I do have a backup just in case anything goes terribly wrong. But everything else is feeling quite dry, but just sticky. So when I tap it with my finger, it feels a little bit tacky. Going to get some of our foil quill foil. In this pack, there are a few different colors. I'm going to go for this more rose goldy color. Just looks like it'll be really nice with the purples in this design. You just need to take a sheet. You can of course cut this down if your design is a little bit smaller, and all we're going to do is place the foil on top. It doesn't need to align perfectly to your card, as long as all of the glued area is covered. And then I'm just going to gently go in and apply pressure to where the lettering is. So you can see where the foil is starting to stick to the glue. We just need to make sure that the glue is sticking to all of the parts. So I'm just going to press it down. Now it's time for the really exciting part, and that's the foil reveal. Ooh. Okay, so I can see where that glue on the L hasn't quite dried. It's not quite sticking. I've just squidged it down a bit more. We're just going to pull it from a slightly different angle. So if you do find that you've got a little bit of glue that's left over because it was wet, once you've laid the foil on top, you'll find that the glue's probably dried a little bit more and is a bit more sticky. So what you could try do is just lay that foil back on top and then peel off, and you can see we've got that lovely foil effect across all of the design. I've also added foil to the other design I've created for this video, but I've used a gold foil this time, and you can see such a lovely difference between these two different foils and how they complement the flowers. So just by changing up the foil or the flower colors and the position of the flowers, you can create a truly unique card, whether that's for Mother's Day or another celebration. You can even create beautiful, unique prints for your home using this technique too. If you did enjoy this video, then please give it a big thumbs up, and also let me know in the comments below what your favorite flower is. If you found this video helpful and you'd like to watch more tutorial videos, then please hit that subscribe button. And if you create beautiful floral cards like this, then please do share them with me. I'd love to see your take on this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!